Ever stare at a shiny used car and think, could it be hiding a dark secret? I have. And here's the truth I learned in the field. Even a small fender bender can leave a big, expensive problem behind. One expert line sticks with me. Even these relatively small incidents can cause lasting damage, said Alan Bradley in 2023. And Melanie May warned, if crash repairs haven't been carried out correctly, it can affect the way a car handles and the safety rating. That's not drama. That's your safety and your wallet. I'm Morgan Lane. I've spent years inspecting thousands of vehicles from dealer lots to backyards. I make this simple and calm so you can buy smart. You're watching Recall Roadmap with Morgan, and today I'm giving you my 10 quick visual checks to spot past accidents before you sign anything. These are the same checks I use. No fancy tools, just your eyes and hands. Use this as general advice. Always confirm with a professional inspection. Have you ever felt burned by a hidden issue on a used car? Tell me below. I really do read your stories. Let's start wide and easy. First up, look at how the car sits on the road. If it's not sitting square, that could be clue number 1. Ready? Let's go. Number 1 is the stance. Before you touch a door or pop the hood, step back 10 feet. Does the car sit level on all 4 corners? The car should look calm and even, not nose up, tail down, or sagging on one side. Melanie May's advice is simple and solid. Make sure it sits squarely on the road and doesn't look higher at one end or on one side. If one corner droops, that can mean a bent spring, damaged suspension, or even a pulled frame from an impact. I once stopped a teammate from buying a clean-looking Civic. It leaned just a little to the right. On a short drive, the steering pulled hard. The inspection later found a tweaked front subframe. That tiny lean could have cost thousands. If you can drive it, ask yourself what Janine van der Post asked. Does the car pull to one side? That's a fast clue to alignment or suspension issues. But even without a drive, uneven ride height is a red flag. If it looks lumpy compared to a similar model, walk away or dig deeper. If the stance looks good, don't relax yet. Next, we zoom in on panel gaps and door fit. Number 2 is even gaps around the doors, hood, and trunk. I walk the car slow, eye level with the panel seams. Do those lines run straight? Are the gaps the same width from top to bottom? Bumper's guidance is clear. Uneven or misaligned gaps may suggest poor repair work. I also run my fingers along the edges. If I feel a step up or down, that's not factory. Janine van der Post puts it well. Do the panels and different parts of the vehicle line up? Or are there gaping spaces? Doors should shut with a gentle snick, not a shoulder shove. Hoods and hatches should close flush and square. If one door sits proud, sticking out, or sinks inward, something moved. That could be a door replaced after a crash, or a frame that isn't quite straight. Inside, look at latches and strikers. Fresh scrape marks or new hardware near a latch are clues a tech fought to make it fit again. Good panel alignment feels boring in the best way, uniform even, satisfying. If it passes this test, great. But even perfect gaps can lie. Next, we look at the paint itself because color and sheen tell a deeper story. Number 3 is paint and overspray. Here's how I do it. I stand back, then move in. I look at the car under sun or a bright light, panel by panel. A trusted tip says, if doesn't match, the car most definitely had some work done. That comes from a Your Mechanic guide, and it's true. A fender just a shade darker than the door or a bumper that looks glossier means a repaint. Paint should match color and texture. Now check for overspray. Paint where it shouldn't be. Bumper's advice: be aware of overspraying on rubber trim, door jambs, plastic clips, even under the hood. I once saw tiny blue mist on a black door seal. That's not factory, that's a quick tape job. Look at edges. The line where a panel meets another panel should be clean. Drips, dusty texture, or a different pearl effect are all warnings. Don't forget the engine bay and trunk gutters. If they have a different tone than the outer panel, it's likely a repair zone. Paint can be beautiful and still tell the truth if you look carefully. And when the paint seems okay, I don't stop. Next, I feel the surface to catch hidden filler. Number 4 is bumpy or smooth. By touch. I use my hand like a scanner. I glide my fingertips across doors, fenders, and quarter panels. Factory paint should feel like smooth glass. A smart tip from your mechanic says, if there are rough spots from paint or body filler, this requires further inspection. If I feel grit, ripples, or slight hump, that's a sign of filler under the paint hiding a dent. I also use reflections. Step back and look at clouds or lights mirrored in the panel. Are the reflections crisp? Wavy reflections often mean hand sanding or layered filler. Bumper's guide suggests checking areas hit most in daily life. Corners, bumpers, near mirrors. That's where dings and scrapes get patched. I've found countless tiny ripples around wheel arches that told the real story. This is simple, no tools required. Your skin picks up what your eyes might miss. If you sense a rough patch, you found a clue worth money. And if the surface feels clean, keep going. It doesn't clear the car by itself. The next giveaway is under the hood. Bolts tell you which parts were off the car and when. Number 5 lives under the hood and in the trunk. Bolts and screws. From the factory, those big hinge bolts and many body screws are painted or coated to match. If you open the hood and see bright silver bolt heads on the hinges, that part was likely removed. Your mechanic puts it plainly. Check the bolts under the hood. If paint is missing, it's likely that the car was repaired. I also check the fender bolts along the inner edge and the latch area. Fresh tool marks or new hardware next to old paint are giant clues. In the trunk, look at hinge bolts and rear body screws. Bumper backs this up. If are sheet metal rather than your vehicle's paint color, you know they were likely removed at one point for a repair. It's a tiny detail that sellers hope you miss. I don't. I've saved buyers thousands by spotting one shiny bolt in a sea of painted ones. If these checks are helping you shop smarter, subscribe and share this with a friend who's car hunting. I post practical guides like this every week. Now that the hardware has spoken, let's step back outside. The bumper and lights often tell the loudest story. Number 6 is bumper and trim alignment. These parts are first to get hit and last to look perfect again. I crouch and look across the line where the bumper meets the fender and the headlights. The journal's check is spot on. Check that the front and rear bumpers sit with the bodywork squarely at both sides. If I see a gap on one side and a tight seam on the other, that bumper was off or got nudged. I search the bumper face for scrape marks, paint differences, or a slight sag at the corner. Lights are big truth tellers. A cracked lens, moisture inside a headlight, or one light that looks newer and clearer than its pair, those often follow a knock. The journal also calls out visible dents, scrapes, and cracked lights as classic signs. Trim should sit flush and feel firm. A loose grill or a badge that sits a little crooked means someone was in there. This is where careful eyes pay off. Bumpers and lights are like the smile on a face. You notice when it's a little off. If it looks straight, great. Next, we test how the hood and trunk actually close. Number 7 is hood and trunk closure. This is a simple test that reveals deeper structure. I open the hood, then close it with a smooth, firm motion. It should latch once and sit even. The journal's line is key. Check that the bonnet and boot open easily and close squarely. After it's shut, I look at the gaps left and right. If one side is proud, popped up slightly, or one gap is wide while the other is tight, that hints at twist in the front structure. I do the same for the trunk. The weather strip should seal evenly. If you need to slam hard to get the trunk to catch, or it still sits high on one corner, the rear might have been pushed or pulled. I also peek under the hood liner for fresh dents near the latches or new-looking hood latches. Shiny latch? Old hood? Ask why. These latches don't get replaced for fun. Misaligned closures don't just look bad, they can lead to wind noise, leaks, and worse. If your lids pass, awesome. Now let's check the car's shoes and legs. Tires and suspension tell their own story. Number 8 is tires and alignment. I call tires honest historians. They record how a car has been driving. I crouch and look at the tread on each tire. Is one edge worn more than the other? Are there cups, scallops, or a bald inner edge? Bumper says it clearly. Uneven or inconsistent tire wear may indicate suspension or alignment issues caused by an accident. If one wheel sits with a weird tilt, that's camber trouble. I also peek inside the wheel wells at the shocks or struts. If I see brownish oil streaks or a dirty wet film, that shock is leaking. Hard hits can do that. When possible, I roll the car a short distance. If I'm constantly nudging the wheel to keep it straight or I hear a thunk over a small bump, that's a clue something's bent or loose. None of this needs a lift, just patient eyes and attention to feel. Tires tell a story money can't hide. If the wear patterns make sense and it drives straight, great, we're almost through. Next up, I check the glass and window fit, because warped frames show up in the windows. Number 9 is windows and glass fit. I roll each window up and down. It should glide smooth and land flush in the frame. Your mechanic's warning is simple. Anything other than a perfect fit could be a sign that there was an accident. I look for gaps where light peeks through or spots where the window kisses the seal too hard. That's a bent frame clue. Next, I inspect the windshield and rear glass. I look for small spider cracks, new rubber gaskets, or thick glue lines. A newer windshield on an older car isn't a crime, but I ask why. If the gap around the windshield is tighter on one side than the other, the roof or A-pillar may have flexed. I also compare tint and glass brand marks. If one side window is a different brand or shade, it likely got replaced. Glass reveals structure. It doesn't bend well without leaving signs. When the glass checks out, I'm down to my last visual clue. It's sneaky and simple, and it hides in plain sight. Stickers, badges, and VIN labels. Number 10 is stickers and serial signs. I open the driver's door and look for the VIN sticker on the jamb. I also check under the hood. Bumper's advice here is direct. Look for damaged or replaced vehicle identification number, VIN stickers, which may suggest previous accident damage. If a sticker looks scratched, wrinkled, or reprinted, that raises my eyebrow. I move to the bumpers and look for odd decals, new mud flaps, or a random badge over a scuff zone. Alan Bradley calls it out. Bumper stickers, decals, and other decorative elements, sometimes used to conceal scratches, dents, or other accident damage. If a logo is new on one side but missing on the other, or trim is half painted, I dig deeper. None of this is proof by itself, but clues stack. One shiny bolt, a misaligned gap, new glass, a weird decal. Together they tell a clear story, and now you've got all 10 checks. Let's pull them together and I'll share how to use them on your next test drive without getting overwhelmed. We just walked the car from stance to stickers. 10 fast visual checks that can save you thousands and keep you safer. Use them like a map. Start wide with the stance, then panel gaps, paint and texture, bolts, bumpers and lights, hood and trunk, tires and alignment, glass fit, and finally stickers and VINs. If you spot more than one clue, get a professional inspection before you buy. I'm a certified automotive safety specialist, but I'm not your mechanic. This is solid visual advice to make you confident. You've been watching Recall Roadmap with Morgan, and I appreciate you riding along. If this helped, please subscribe for more calm, practical guides, and tap like or share it with a friend who's shopping. Thanks for watching. Which clue will you use first on your next car check, and why that one? I want to know how you hunt for problems. Stay safe out there, take your time, and trust what your eyes and hands tell you.